But
Yeah.
but
I tell you,
April Fool's
with
Day
my
is meant to be. It's really after Arnold Saves the Neighborhood. The Hey Arnold the movie, and
yeah.
because it comes in our timeline of us making the show. It was a year later that we wrote April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
And so we were proceeding from the point of view that Arnold's already heard everything. He's been through that adventure with Helga, and he knows exactly where she's at. But like they say at the end of the Hey Arnold the movie, okay, let's just sort of agree that never happened. And so they're carrying on, and she's probably even cranked up the abuse. You know what I mean? she's trying to kind of put on this show, even for him, that she doesn't love him and hates him. And so when he takes her out on the dance floor, it's kind of like the mask is removed between them for a moment as they're dancing, like they're a couple of people who were in love. It's what's fun about it to me. And in the timeline, Arnold won't tell her that he loves her until later. But that's what's going on in that scene. They're definitely, imagine how Arnold feels. He knows that Helga's insanely in love with him, even though she's putting him through all this crap.
After the episode Weird Cousin, how did Arnold and Helga explain their unusual behavior towards each other?
You mean to the other kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what's funny too. Like whenever you do these public displays of affection that they kind of somehow pull back from the brink, the other kids would be like, man, kind of Helga and Arnold, they sure do a bunch of weird stuff, and that we cross that line all the time. We have them do unusual behavior, and then somehow everybody. Sometimes it's a joke, Sometimes we end an episode where it's ridiculous. You've seen everything, and yet somehow we all kind of agree to pretend that didn't happen. My favorite example of that, even better than Weird Cousin, is the one called Helga Blabs It All, where she leaves she's high at the dentist, and she leaves a phone message for him, and then she's got to break into the boarding house and get the tape. You remember at the end of that one, she falls down she's like in the wall behind her.
Falls in the wall and falls in front of the kids.
And she's swinging on a rope trying to get to a window, and she hits the wall, hits the fold-out couch, which then plops her down and, just sitting there in the middle of a circle of all the boys with the tape in her mouth, and she's covered with dust, so she kind of looks like a ghost. And she just gets up, and it's great. If you listen to it, it's scored hilariously by Jim.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
Like you're in a horror film. And she steps out of the room backwards, and there's a great shot of her stepping backwards over someone's Robert's feet or something, and like she can't, it's a magical moment where she steps backwards over these boys and backs out of the room and leaves. And there's a beat, and the music kind of goes like thump. And then in the silence, then Arnold goes, so about that go-kart. And they go right back to having their meeting about building a go-kart. The point being, that was just too much.
I want to watch that episode again.
The boys don't know how to even process that information, so they're going to pretend it never happened, which is sort of, I know there's a lot of, it's not really realistic, but who cares, right?
Yeah.
We're making a cartoon, we're not actually.
It's cartoon world, yeah. It's cartoon logic, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what often goes on with the Arnold and Helga. They're gonna have constant amnesia about the changes that have happened in the 5 years of the shows that you watch.
Yeah. In the episode What's Opera Arnold, what made you choose the opera Carmen as the main part of the episode? And are you a fan of the opera as well?
Yeah, I love opera, even though I'm pretty dense about it. I haven't been to a lot of operas. But it's more like this. It's really a salute to Chuck Jones and What's Opera Doc than anything else. It was my salute to Chuck because I feel like I really owe the Warner cartoons a huge debt, because that was what I had to watch when I was growing up, and they taught me so much of what I know about comedy and about music. Weirdly, all of them. Friz Freleng was another director who loved Warner director who loved music and did a lot of musical-driven episodes. But Chuck Jones did Rabbit of Seville and What's Opera Doc, and those two cartoons are so fantastic. I mean, you're listening to. I think Rabbit of Seville. I think you're listening to The Marriage of Figaro mostly, and what What's Opera Doc, you're listening to the Ring songs, the Ring of the Nibelung. But I thought, well, that would be awesome to just do something like that. And I love the idea of putting all the Arnold likes Ruth, but Helga hates Ruth and wants Arnold, as if they go to the opera, and as soon as it starts, they fall asleep. And then they dream their versions where they're the stars of the opera. And Carmen's a great opera. It's got wonderful, really catchy songs. I think the Curly's song, the the Torero song, is a great song. Everybody, as soon as you hear those melodies, you'll never forget them. And
no.
And so I in the same way that the Rabbit of Seville and What's Opera Doc, taught us children these great opera melodies, that then, it's cool, because then later when you finally get a chance to hear the real thing, you got there because somebody opened the door to this and showed it to you as a kid and made it really funny and entertaining, So that was what I was trying to do. And they're great songs. I think Curly's Toreador song is great, and I love it. This is what I love about making TV, is that that there's going to be thousands of kids who, when they finally hear the Torero song for real from Carmen, they'll be going, "I'm so fine," they'll be singing Curly's lines, and so that's it's sort of like our little joke on culture.
I was going to say, because it's cartoons that it was the Cartoon Family guy that kicked off Rickrolling pretty much, because Brian in the cartoon sings "Never Gonna Give You Up" by Rick Astley, and then all of a sudden everyone said, "Wait a minute, I've heard that somewhere before," and then all of a sudden they all started listening to his music again. It's like, the cartoons have that power.
Yeah, it's true.
Don't they?
I think that's true. It brings a new audience to stuff that maybe wasn't being heard.
Yeah. For each episode, it's a general rule: 1 page equals 1 minute, because it's animation and relies heavily on the visual descriptions in the script. A minute on TV could mean sometimes 2 pages of a word. It's a very technical question. Basically, was
so
the rule
a
of the
minute
script
on TV could mean 2 pages of words. That's actually correct for us, because we didn't do 1 page a minute. We did more like 2 pages a minute. The 11-minute Arnold cartoon would have a script that I remember shooting for about 21 pages. And I like to write a sort of a screenplay that the narrative in the format is pretty effective, that we describe what's supposed to happen. And then, of course, the storyboard guys, they want to invent as well. So sometimes you would write stuff and the storyboard guys would take it in another direction, or they would add layers of stuff visually that wasn't in the script. But I really tried to. I would try to make sure that the script had a narrative that made sense, and artists could read the script and not just listen to the dialogue, but read what is supposed to be happening. And sometimes the artists would rebel and they would not really care about the script, but
yeah.
But
so on average,
how the formula of about 2 pages a minute.
Oh, okay. So on average, for a typical Hey Arnold episode, how big would the script be?
It would be, for an 11-minute, it'd be about 20, 21, 22 pages, and for a half hour, that would take it up to more like 48.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I don't know why. It's just a very technical question. I guess all the animation nerds were all pretty much
we have
asking.
a TV writer out there.
Absolutely. Okay, next question. Who is the mysterious friend of Gerald's known as Fuzzy Slippers?
Oh, yeah, Fuzzy Slippers. I love him. Fuzzy Slippers was supposed to be an urban character, kind of like Monkey Man, just somebody that you hear about but you don't really see. And Fuzzy Slippers was the guy who had he knew the word that was out on everything. So if Gerald heard it from Fuzzy Slippers, that's what's really going on. And we thought about doing a Fuzzy Slippers episode, just never got around to it. It would have been fun. I mean, I would think if he would be just as colorful as like Monkey Man.
Yeah.
Monkey Man was he was in the pilot, but we ended up cutting him.
Yeah.
He was just supposed to be Monkey Man was supposed to be like a character like that who lived on Arnold Street. I was originally going to have it that he was a homeless guy that Arnold met, and he learns his story, and they become friends, and Arnold says, "Why don't you?" And so Monkey Man ends up living in some boxes down in the alley under Arnold's fire escape.
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you what.
Nickelodeon wasn't really comfortable with us starting off the series with an insane person who lives in boxes outside Arnold's house. We had to get to that a little later. It took us about 4 seasons to finally.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Gotham City has Batman. Hillwood has Monkey Man. That's the greatest thing. Okay, so let's move on to the next question, which is, you mentioned in an interview that the girls in Arnold's class were based on girls he had a crush on when he was younger. Is Helga also based on a girl you had a crush on, and did she also have a difficult home life like Helga?
No. I mean, when I say that the kids in Hey Arnold are kind of based on people I knew in childhood, it's generally much more of a kind of it's more vague than that. There's no specific Helga. It'd be wonderful. I wish that Helga was a real person that I knew, because it would be so cool. But it's really more like just things that happened to me when I was a kid that I would kind of work into the stories. And so, and some people are more, some of the characters on Hey Arnold are really more based on somebody that I knew than Helga. She's really, I don't know, man. Like, look, I'll put it this way. When I was that age, the girl that had a crush on you would be mean to you, and that would be the only way that she could show that she had a crush on you. But there was no girl that I knew that was what Helga's based on. She's just so much more intense than that. Like, all of it. It was like I made her kind of more ugly in a way. When I remember the original designs of Hey Arnold, she was a pretty unattractive girl. as the series went on, all the characters got kind of fleshed out, and we drew them for years, and they all got a little bit, their arms got thicker, and their faces got a little bit more detailed in a way that you could turn them, Yeah. Helga's look sort of evolved. And it's really funny how that goes, because I liked her more and more. As I kept writing for her, I just thought she was so awesome that I finally, it's like you realize that you've made somebody that's pretty kind of brutal and unlovable, and you've made her into somebody that you really love. So, there's nobody that, Helga's like something that grew from nothing, and there were these feelings I had about childhood and about love and unrequited love and the way I felt about people and that they felt about me that are what she's based on. But there's no person. Okay. Unfortunately. It's kind of cool that I still am friends with Franny, Francesca Smith, who played Helga, because that's kind of cool. I had lunch with her about a month ago, and I was listening to her talk, and I was thinking, this is as close to hearing Helga talk as I can get. But Franny and I both know that she's not Helga either, because nobody is. She's a made-up character, It's really funny. We all wish that Helga was around so we could have her for a friend.
There's something hilarious.
Friend,
there's a
Chris,
group
who was my editor. Chris Duffy was editor of Nick Magazine, and he would edit my Arnold comics. So we had a long relationship, and we're friends and Facebook friends. And I remember I put up a picture of Helga on Facebook this Valentine's Day. It was a picture of her standing out by the ice cream truck, and she's got ice cream all over her face, and it says that she wishes everybody a great Valentine's Day. And Chris Duffy wrote on the comments, he said, "Craig, she's your best character ever. You should make a novel of Helga as the 40-year-old." And I thought, man, what an awesome idea, because she is. She's a great character, and she's sort of alive to me. She's out there somewhere in my mind, so I should.
Yeah, actually, she might not be too far away, because everyone makes fun of my monobrow that I've got, and sometimes sometimes I do get a bit frustrated, and they start saying, oh, you got parallels between Helga, and then one day some girl put a pink bow on my head, and I just looked in the mirror, and it's like, oh God, it's like it's happening. Anyway, let's move on to the next question.
I think I have a little Helga in me too.
Yeah,
and Olga,
I think we all do.
My wife says that I have a little Olga in me.
Really? That's interesting. Okay, then. Next question, and this might actually have a sad answer, actually, I don't know, but what happened to Lila's mom?
Oh, Lila's mom.
Yeah.
I think she must have died. I think that maybe Lila and her dad are carrying on without their mom. I don't think they're divorced. I think she's dead. I never really got into that. There's a lot of that stuff, when I think of what the fans are asking me for questions about what would happen next and such. I don't know, but and you only think up what you have to think up, really, as you are making your stories. And we just figured that that Lila and her dad moved to town, and they're just sort of carrying on without her mom.
Yeah. Actually, when I was working on, when we were doing the Hey Arnold comic project, and we were working on the Hey Arnold Season 6, and one of the first things that came up when we were first meeting about it was basically we need to address Lila's mom, because everyone keeps asking about her. And one of the ideas for the episodes we came up with was a episode called Mr. Sawyer's Girlfriend, where basically Lila's dad starts dating again, and Lila feels really uncomfortable about it, and basically then they have this conversation saying, look, I know your mother passed away, but we need to move on and stuff like that.
Wow, so that's what you guys came up with too.
Yeah. Bro, did you guys come up with that?
I don't think we really answered it, but that's what we figured.
Oh, okay then.